Sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a gateway. It is the trembling seed through which life breaks the earth, the gentle portal that invites the vivid spectrum of feeling into our being. To embrace sensitivity is to stand at the threshold of what it means to be fully alive, to recognize that the tremor in your chest is not a weakness to be shunned, but an avenue toward transcendence. When the heart unfurls its petals, we step into a realm of heightened perception. Colors deepen, sounds resonate with newfound clarity, and even the faintest whisper of wind against the skin carries the weight of meaning. In this luminous space, we perceive the world not as a collection of objects, but as a tapestry of connections, each thread woven by the shared pulse of humanity. It is here that empathy blossoms, rooting us in the soil of collective experience, the triumphs, the heartbreaks, the quiet moments of grace. This inward openness is not a state of fragility, but of courageous vulnerability. It takes immense bravery to allow oneself to feel, to risk the storm of tears, to dance with the ache of longing, to crack open like a shell revealing the iridescent pearl within. Yet every tear is a testament to the depth of our capacity for love, every shudder of joy a celebration of the human capacity for wonder. Through sensitivity, we become alchemists, transmuting raw emotion into art, into words, into melody. To honor this emotional intensity is to honor our truest essence. It means welcoming every ripple of feeling as a holy visitor, whether it brings us to our knees in sorrow or lifts us to our feet in bliss. It means learning to navigate the currents of the heart with gentle curiosity, guiding ourselves through turbulent waters with the same tenderness we would offer a friend in distress. Sensitivity is the compass that steers us toward authenticity. It points us back to the warmth of our own humanity. Let us bless the open heart, this radiant threshold. Let us regard every quiver of sentiment not as a liability, but as an invitation to explore the limitless terrain of love, to forge bonds that defy the indifferent logic of stones, to remember that to feel deeply is to exist fully. In the doorway of sensitivity, we find our true home, an ever-shifting landscape of emotion where each sensation is a sacred note in the symphony of life. Here, in this living canvas of sensation, our hearts are wide awake, and every beat is a hymn. The walls we built around our hearts, the ramparts of fear, the barbed wire of mistrust, are beginning to crumble. One by one, the stones of our self-protective defenses loosen, carried away by the gentle current of vulnerability. What once felt like unyielding armor now reveals its seams, and through those narrow cracks, the light of authentic connection pours in. For so long, we wrapped ourselves in the illusion of safety, a fortress composed of guarded glances, curt smiles, and carefully measured words. We told ourselves that love was too dangerous, that to expose our soft underbelly would invite pain. But the very walls meant to shield us became prison bars, cutting us off from the deep currents of empathy and compassion that flow between human souls. Now, as our defenses unravel, we taste the sweetness of emotional openness. To feel another's sorrow is no longer a threat, but a privilege. To share our own trembling longing is not a weakness, but a gift. Every softened gaze, every tender confession becomes a bridge spanning the chasm between isolation and belonging. In the space where walls once stood, trust takes root, growing vines of understanding that entwine us in shared humanity. There is power in allowing the heart to breathe. When we let go of relentless self-control, we reclaim the spontaneity that makes us vibrantly alive. We laugh without reservation, cry without shame, and hold one another in silent solidarity. Each moment of daring emotional honesty is an act of rebellion against a world that prizes stoic detachment. In that defiance, we discover our truest strength. To be open is to be brave. It means standing unguarded in the face of uncertainty, offering our scars as proof that wounds can heal. It means welcoming the risk of heartbreak for the promise of real intimacy. And when we see another's defenses fall away in response, when eyes meet and widen in mutual recognition, we are reminded that authenticity begets authenticity, that one liberated heart can inspire another. Let us celebrate this unmaking of old barriers. Let us honor the trembling vulnerability that courses through our veins, the shared breath that connects us beyond words. In the dissolution of our defenses, we find the extraordinary gift of emotional resonance, a place where every note of feeling contributes to a collective song of belonging. And in that song, our hearts beat together, free at last to give and receive the love they were always meant to share. The heart is the original seer, the silent oracle whispering truths before the mind can even form a question. In its rhythmic cadence lies an ancient wisdom woven from lifetimes of longing, of laughter, of wounds that healed into wisdom. To honor this instinctive pioneer is to step into your own inner landscape with humility and courage, trusting the tender flare of sensation that rises in the chest like a dawn chorus, guiding you toward what is real and necessary in your life. Long have we sat at the council of logic, weighing pros and cons as if the world were a ledger to be balanced. Yet decisions born in the cavern of thought alone often ring hollow, lacking the resonance that only feeling can impart. The heart's counsel arrives not in neat bullet points but in sensations, a quickened pulse at possibility, a soft release in the bones at belonging, a tightening at dissonance. These visceral signals are not random. They are the compass rose of your true north, calibrated by every joy and grief you have ever known. To trust your heart is not to throw reason aside, but to allow it to dance with intuition, each informing the other in a graceful duet. Imagine standing at a crossroads. The mind lays out every map and statistic, while the heart speaks of unseen paths illuminated by starlight. If you listen only to the roads already worn, you may miss the secret trail where your greatest growth awaits. When you pause to feel, to place a hand upon your sternum and breathe into the gentle tremor there, you open yourself to guidance far richer than any chart. There is bravery in this kind of listening. It demands patience with the ambiguous flutter of choices that cannot be quantified. It asks you to lean into uncertainty, trusting that the heart's whisper will grow clearer as you walk toward it. And when fear arises, fear of making the wrong turn, fear of what others might think, let your own pulse remind you. No lesson is wasted. No path taken in sincerity is ever truly lost. As you cultivate this relationship with your heart's intuition, you will find that opportunities begin to align in uncanny ways. Doors open where you least expect them. Conversations arrive at precisely the moment you need them. The small voice in your chest becomes a steadfast companion. Even in storms of doubt, that steady thrum remains, a promise that beneath the swirl of thoughts lies a bedrock of knowing. So honor the heart as the pioneer it was born to be. When faced with decisions large or small, close your eyes, inhale, and listen. Trust the subtle choreography of emotion and insight that arises. In doing so, you will navigate your life not just with efficiency, but with grace, authenticity, and a boundless capacity for wonder. Let your heart lead the way, and discover a path that is wholly, unmistakably your own. The moment the heart opens, it changes everything, irreversibly, irrevocably. Once that first sliver of light penetrates the defenses you spent years erecting, you can never unsee the landscape it reveals. In that luminous vulnerability, you glimpse a horizon of possibility, and you feel the pulse of transformation stirring in your veins. When the heart cracks open, it is not a tearing but an unfolding, like a flower greeting the dawn. The petals of your being, long folded tight by fear and habit, begin to unfurl. In that gentle release, old patterns lose their grip, the nagging self-doubt, the stubborn walls of isolation, the dull ache of resignation. You discover that these barriers were never as solid as you believed. They were shadows projected by a mind desperate for certainty. Now, bathed in the warm glow of your own awakening, you see their edges soften and dissolve. This awakening catalyzes change at its deepest source. It starts not in your schedule or your inbox, but in the quiet chambers of feeling. You wake to the gentle insistence of your own long-suppressed needs, to speak your truth, to share your light, to reach out in kindness without calculating the cost. Small acts begin to ripple outward, a genuine compliment offered freely, a hand extended in forgiveness, a moment of courage when you choose authenticity over ease. Each gesture carries the signature of a heart that has tasted freedom and can no longer return to confinement, and because the heart's opening happens from the inside out, the transformation it ignites is both subtle and profound. It is felt in your breath, which deepens as gratitude seeps into every cell, in your eyes, which now shine with curiosity rather than guarded reserve, in your smile, which becomes an invitation rather than a shield. The world itself seems to shift in response. You notice colors more vividly, you hear laughter more clearly, you savor connection with richer awareness. This change is not a one-time event, but an ongoing journey. Each day offers new opportunities to stand with an open heart, to choose compassion over judgment, to extend mercy before reproach, to embrace uncertainty with the quiet confidence that you will learn and grow. Yes, there will be moments when old fears threaten to resurface, when the walls you once dismantled seem to beckon you back into old habits. But by then, you will have felt the weightlessness of living from an open heart so profoundly that retreat feels impossible. Once the heart leaps open, you cannot close it again without closing yourself off from life's deepest currents. And why would you? In the fertile soil of your awakened heart, new dreams take root. You become a beacon, drawing others toward their own moment of opening. Your life becomes a testament to the truth that real change begins not with grand declarations, but with the simple act of permitting your heart to expand. So let your heart open and trust the unfolding. Stand in that luminous space without apology. For when the heart is open, even just once, it sets in motion a force of transformation from which there is no turning back, a force that reshapes your world and, in turn, the world around you. Emotional openness is not a fissure in your armor, but the secret key that unlocks your highest self. When you allow your feelings to flow freely, joy, sorrow, hope, longing, you step onto a spiral staircase that ascends far beyond the flat plateau of mere survival. Each emotion becomes a rung, lifting you closer to authentic power and radiant selfhood. To live with your heart ajar is to recognize that true strength is woven from vulnerability. It takes more courage to stand exposed in the downpour of feeling than to retreat behind walls of stoic indifference. In that open space, you learn to dance with uncertainty, discovering that the tremor of fear and the flush of excitement share the same electric pulse. Rather than resisting this current, you channel it. You transform anxiety into alertness, grief into compassion, and longing into the fuel for your creative fire. This elevation unfolds in layers. First comes the simple act of noticing, naming the emotion that moves through you without judgment or apology. Then comes the act of honoring, giving that feeling room to breathe, listening to its message, and allowing it to guide your choices. Finally comes the alchemy, integrating emotion into action so that every word you speak and every step you take carries the weight and wisdom of your inner truth. As you climb this spiral, the view shifts. You begin to see connections where before you saw only walls. You feel empathy as a powerful current that binds you to others and to the larger tapestry of life. You learn that opening your heart does not expose you to defeat, but elevates you to a vantage point from which you can act with greater clarity and compassion. In this light, sensitivity becomes your greatest ally. The softness in your chest is like a finely tuned antenna, attuned to the subtlest frequencies of possibility. The ache of longing is a compass pointing toward purpose. The spark of joy is the ignition for your next bold move. Each emotion, no matter how raw, is a gift, an invitation to rise. So embrace emotional openness not as a liability, but as the gateway to your ascent. Let every feeling lift you higher, and discover that the true meaning of strength lies not in what you can resist, but in what you can receive, and then use to soar. The frequency of the heart hums like a hidden radio station, broadcasting your truest vibration out into the world. Each beat sends ripples through the unseen currents that bind us all, calling forth the people, experiences, and opportunities that resonate in harmony with your core. When you consciously tune into that inner frequency, you become a living beacon, an antenna woven from compassion, curiosity, and courage. Too often, we live by external signals, likes and follows, achievements and applause, mistaking their static for the clear signal of our soul. But the heart's frequency is purer, free from interference. It vibrates in response to what truly matters, a glance of kindness, the thrill of possibility, the ache of shared vulnerability. When you allow yourself to listen, to feel the subtle tremor under your ribs, you align with a wavelength that attracts connections rooted in authenticity. Imagine your heart as a crystal tuning fork. Strike it with intention. Pause, breathe deeply, place a hand over your chest, and let its note sustain. As that tone reverberates outward, it synchronizes with matching vibrations around you. A friend who needs your empathy, a mentor ready to share wisdom, a moment of inspiration waiting to be seized. Each new encounter carries that same resonance, amplifying your song and weaving you ever more deeply into the grand chorus of life. This practice of alignment asks for trust. Gradually shift your attention from the clamor of everyday demands to the gentle murmur within. Notice what stirs your pulse. Joy at a sunrise, compassion for another's struggle, fierce longing for creative expression. Lean into those stirrings and watch as the universe responds. Doors you never sought will open. Strangers will become allies. Serendipity will feel less like chance and more like a conversation between your heart and the world. By living on your heart's frequency, you cultivate magnetic authenticity. You no longer chase hollow echoes in the distance, but draw in voices that harmonize with your own. And as you weave these new connections, your life becomes a tapestry of mutual recognition, a resonant field where every chord enriches the next. So pause. Listen. Tune in to the steady thrum beneath your ribs. Let that vibration guide you toward kindred spirits, unexpected opportunities, and the deep belonging you crave. The heart's frequency is alive and calling. Are you ready to answer? The turbulence that follows an opened heart is not chaos. It is transformation in motion. When the walls fall away and the chambers within begin to breathe freely, the currents of feeling surge forth, swirling and scattering the fragments of our old selves. This bewildering whirlwind is not a sign of ruin, but the alchemical process by which the raw material of our lives is reshaped into something more luminous, more whole. At first, the influx of emotion can feel disorienting. Memories drift up like confetti, hopes clash with regrets, and unfamiliar longings pulse through the body with insistent urgency. It's as if every hidden corner of the psyche stirs awake, demanding to be seen, heard, and honored. Yet in this maelstrom lies the seedbed of growth. Each jagged thought we face, each tear we shed, erodes the hardened patterns that kept us stuck in familiar loops. Transformation requires dismantling. Just as the caterpillar's internal chaos dissolves its old form before the butterfly emerges, our hearts must tumble through disorder before we can ascend to new horizons. The very messiness, the tangled emotions, the sudden shifts in perspective, the moments of uneasy uncertainty, is the crucible in which our true selves are forged. To surrender to this process is to trust that disorder is temporary, a necessary gestation of the soul. Instead of resisting the storm, lean into its winds. Allow your tears to cleanse, your laughter to break through, your questions to widen the space in which wisdom can settle. Notice how, even in the midst of upheaval, small revelations illuminate the way forward. A sudden flash of compassion, a spark of creativity, a deeper sense of connection to the world. Over time, the chaos begins to settle into a new pattern. What once felt random reveals its hidden logic. The lessons woven into each moment of discomfort coalesce into insight, resilience, and brilliance. You emerge not bruised but reborn, your heart's landscape redrawn with richer valleys and loftier peaks. So welcome the commotion that follows an opened heart. Remember that every unraveling is the precursor to renewal, that growth often looks like chaos before it becomes clarity. In the swirling dance of transformation, your truest self is being reborn, and the world is waiting to greet you. Grief is not merely the shadow of what we have lost, but the gentle flame that burns away what no longer serves us. In its quiet flames, old wounds and hidden burdens find their release, reduced to ash, so that new life may rise in their place. To mourn is to enter a sacred ceremony of cleansing, each tear a drop of holy water, each sigh a breath of purification. When sorrow washes over us, it feels as though the world has cracked open, letting in the raw flood of feeling we have long kept at bay. Yet in that deluge lies a profound gift, the chance to wash away the residue of unspoken regrets, the weight of unexpressed longings, the grit of silent resentments. Grief invites us to lean into our pain, to cradle it with tenderness, and to let its currents carry away the detritus of our heart. As we honor our sorrow, we create space for renewal. The hollow ache becomes the wellspring from which compassion flows, first toward ourselves, then outward to others who carry their own burdens. In this alchemy, loss transforms into grace. The heart, scrubbed clean by tears, emerges clearer, more open, more luminous. Allow yourself this cleansing. Sit with your sorrow as you would with a trusted elder, listening to its quiet wisdom. Let the tears fall without judgment. Let the sorrow speak its truth without haste. In this emotional purification, you reclaim the power to feel deeply, to love fearlessly, and to step forward into a life renewed by the very things that once threatened to break you. Keeping your heart open asks of you the bravest kind of strength, the soft power that stands firm against the instinct to shut down. When the world presses in with its sharp edges, criticism, disappointment, fear, the reflex is to draw the gates closed, to arm the heart with doubt, or to don a mask of indifference. Yet it is precisely in those moments that the quiet courage to remain receptive becomes our greatest act of defiance and compassion. To hold your heart open is to welcome vulnerability as an ally rather than an enemy. It means leaning in when instinct whispers, "Protect yourself," trusting instead the gentle urge to stay present. This is not naivete, nor is it recklessness. It is a practiced resilience, a willingness to feel the full spectrum of life without recoiling. Each time you choose openness over armor, you reinforce the muscle of tenderness, and your spirit grows more supple. Imagine you are a tree in spring, petals unfurling even while cold winds blow. The petals could curl tight to protect themselves, but by staying spread, they catch the sunlight they need to flourish. Your heart is the same. When you let it bloom, you absorb the warmth of connection and understanding, even if a chilly breeze tries to wilt your joy. Over time, you learn that the gusts may bend you, but they cannot break you unless you decide to clench. Keeping the heart open also demands self-compassion. You must forgive yourself for the moments you falter, when doubt steals in, when old wounds make you hesitate. Treat those lapses not as failure, but as invitations to return to soft strength. With each renewed breath, you remember that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to lean forward anyway. This soft power ripples outward. When you greet another with an unguarded smile, you offer them permission to do the same. Your vulnerability becomes a bridge, inviting authenticity rather than pretense. In the shared openness that follows, empathy thrives, and relationships deepen into something rare and luminous. So stand firm in your softness. Let your heart remain open even when the instinct is to bolt. Honor the tremor of feeling as a sign of aliveness, not of weakness. In this gentle defiance lies true courage, a courage that transforms every connection into a doorway for compassion and every challenge into an opportunity to grow. All true ascent begins in the chambers of the heart. When your heart stands open, radiant, tender, unguarded, it becomes the forge in which real power is tempered. This is not the brittle might of conquest, but the living force of compassion, purpose, and unwavering authenticity. An open heart carries the gravity of sincerity. It grants your words weight and your actions meaning. In its magnetic field, fear yields to faith. Faith in your own worth, faith in the promise of connection, faith that even the smallest act of kindness can shift the course of lives. From this place, you rise not by pushing others down, but by lifting them up. Your strength measured by how high you can help another soar. This power moves in subtle rhythms. It is present in the steady courage of "I'm here" when someone is hurting, in the clear gaze that sees beyond pretense, in the gentle insistence to speak truth with love. It hums in the pulse of generosity that spills over into every corner of your world. And as you climb, your open heart leaves a trail of warmth, drawing kindred spirits to join you on the journey. Know that any summit reached without the heart's involvement is hollow. But when your heart guides each step, illuminating the path with empathy and grace, you ascend on wings forged by love. And at the peak, you discover that the greatest altitude is not measured in distance, but in depth. The profound elevation of a spirit that has dared to open, dared to feel, and so found its truest power.